Let's do it.
All right. Let's see if we are live. We are. Hello, everyone. Or for anyone rewatching, welcome to reading sprints for the Rake Meets Bluestocking Readathon.
No.
Like, not me forgetting the name of the readathon.
I mean, it's quite the title, but I thought it ended up cute, but it's hard to say it.
Yes. So we're very excited to be here for reading sprints. Hey, Shan.
Hey.
We've got a few people watching already, so let us know in the comments, how you're doing, what you're currently reading, even if you're not participating in the readathon, if you're just here to have a good time, that's what we're here for. So,
heck yeah.
So Jen, what have you been reading today?
Yes. Okay. Well, I did today finish up A Class Forsaken, which was that series is very angsty, and I'm going to be stopping it now. But it was good to read that one. So I've read 3 books in that series, but that's an Irish series, and it's a continuing story is the issue. So that's one that we read for Rake Appreciation Society in the fall quarter, and it was a continuing story. So I had to keep going because I had to know what was going to happen, but it's still not done. And I'm going to be like, okay, well, I'm going to pretend they have an HEA now because she really puts them through it. Like, it will have an HEA, but just horrible things keep happening to these poor people. And I'm like, okay, good as hell.
No.
I know. But also like the audiobooks were so good. So if people like more historical fiction, but with like romance still being very important, like it's a good series. But then I ended up, when I finished that audiobook, I didn't have another one picked out. And I remembered that out of the last Stuff Your Kindle, I got one that the audiobook was only $2.99, and it's called Sweet Rogue of Mine by Shanna Gallen.
Oh, I've read
And
more books before.
yeah. And this one has a blind hero in it, which I didn't even realize that. I'm sure I realized it when I put it on my Kindle the first time, but because I believe because with the Stuff Your Kindle, you can choose like the diverse options. Like you can choose LGBT or you can choose disability. And I believe that I got that from choosing disability. So I had some options for it. So yeah, it has a blind hero who I think his family is like trying to like commit him or something. But the audiobook started off really good. So reading that. And then I also have my medieval book going. I don't know which one I'm going to read, but it's called A Scandalous Spring by Sophia Nye, who is a new to me author. And it's medieval as well as, what else does this one fit? I don't know. I think it's new to me author and medieval, but that's what I'm reading that one for.
Cool. Okay, we have some comments. A Deal with the Notorious Devil by Adra Richards. I've never heard of this author before. That is an intriguing title, for sure. Hello, Candace. Hey, everyone. The Lotus Palace. I've been meaning to read that. I've been meaning to read Jeannie Lynn. Want to read As You Desire by Connie Brockway and Seduce Me at Sunrise by Lisa Kleypas.
Nice.
Stuff.
Yeah. I have a Jeannie Lynn. I bought another one of hers too after we read The Lotus Palace. So which one did I buy? I don't know, but I want to read more of her too. Very good.
Kingdom of Dreams, a classic that I have not read. I have not picked up Judith McNaught, but
Komal, have you read that one before? I feel like you would have. Girl, you've read everything, but yes, 30-year anniversary of Lord of Scoundrels today.
I know, I saw that.
So
Rogue by Any Other Name by Sarah McLean. I haven't read a Sarah McLean in a long time now that I'm thinking about it.
Oh my goodness. Neither have I. It's been a while.
Yeah.
I binged all of hers. And so the only ones I haven't read are the new series. So I need to read that. But
yeah, her new stuff is what I need to read. So I am currently in the middle of Beyond Scandal and Desire by Lorraine Heath. This is book 1 in her Sins for All Seasons series. I have not read a Lorraine Heath in like over a year
Oh,
at
yeah.
this point. Yeah, it's been a while. And I have physical copies of this whole series as well as some of her like newer stuff too. And so a rule that I made for myself for no good
One of
reason
those
was just
ones.
like, ooh, I need to start with this series and work my
Yeah.
way to the newer stuff. But I'm loving this.
Love this one.
Ooh, that's so pretty.
Yeah. I have one of her on mine too. I feel like most people have one of her on there.
Hmm.
I believe this is her first book. I think. I think.
Definitely one of the first.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I haven't read a Western that's been traditionally published in a long time. Tanya Fisher is indie, and I really like her Westerns, but yeah, I haven't read a Western that's contemporary or not contemporary, traditionally published in a long time. So I'm a little nervous about
Yeah. But yeah,
it.
I'm loving this so far. In case any of you don't know, the setup for this I just adore. It's a found
Mhm,
family element, but this has to do the premise has to do with what they referred to as baby farming
mhm,
back during this time period, where people of nobility would have illegitimate children and they would give them to these women who were usually widows, and the widows would take care of the babies, meaning unfortunately they would murder them.
mhm,
And there was a case, I have to wonder, I'll have to see if there's an author's note at the end of this, but there was a case where like there was this one woman, they literally found like hundreds of remains in her backyard,
mhm. Yep.
absolutely horrific. And so the setup here, though, is that we have Miss Truelove, who is a widow, and she has taken in, I believe, there's 6 siblings in this family, and so each of the romances is each of their stories. And yeah, I'm loving this so far. It's
Mm.
giving a 5-star
Yep.
feeling for
Yep.
sure.
Yep. Great series. Great series. Yeah, there's a few other of the big authors have touched on baby farming. It's really, really sad.
Hmm.
Really sad stuff.
Yes,
Can't get
absolutely.
your hands dirty. The wealthy can't get their hands dirty with
Right. Yeah.
anything, you know.
Hmm. Whisper of Roses. I need to read more Teresa Medeiros, another author that
Same. There are
I
not enough audiobooks of her though. Like there are only I think like 3. That's my problem. Like
yes.
everything I've read of hers I've really loved. Like
Mhm.
even the old one, like A
Yes.
Whisper of Roses, I love A Whisper of Roses, but also the the orange bright orange cover where he's there's Beauty and the Beast
Oh,
retelling.
Yours Until Dawn. I have not read that yet.
Yeah, yeah, he's blind in that one, like, love that one, and a couple others too, like but there's no, like, audiobooks, so they
I
take a
know it
long time.
sucks. Yeah, when there isn't an audiobook, it takes me that much longer to get to it.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah, yeah.
that's just how
Which
it is.
yeah, it's just more difficult. That's why I picked up the Shanna Gallen is I was like, I don't have audiobooks for any of the other ones on my TBR. I mean, I could buy them, but I didn't. I saved my credit this month I used
Yeah,
for Onyx Storm, so I'm like but, yeah, I just wish all those old ones had audiobooks too,
I
like
know. Yeah. Kara
ooh,
Maxwell, another author that I have not read. Surprised they aren't re-releasing Lord of Scoundrels for the anniversary. SJM gets 10-year special editions, but us historical girlies don't get anything. Every now and then they would like re-release
yeah,
like a I remember like they released Suddenly You by Lisa Kleypas, like, and it might have been for an anniversary, maybe not, but
no.
yeah.
No, I mean, no, here's the thing, Shan, would we really like what they did with it? They'd probably wanna change some things in it if they re-released it. I mean, I'm not even being I mean, they did that with Lisa Kleypas who,
Yes.
like, she doesn't anyway, I understand I've said this before. I understand updating words that are no longer appropriate to use, like, completely understand changing, like, the word used to describe the Romani people, don't have a problem with it. But they neutered Cam, okay? They took away any of the dubious consent, any of the
Yes.
stuff, and that was his character. I'm sorry, he's pushy, okay? He's pushy with that stuff, and it's hot, okay? Lisa Kleypas handles it well because he's amazing, okay? Lisa Kleypas doesn't need her men neutered, okay?
Yeah.
Cam's the way he is
Yeah.
because he's amazing. So, anywho, they would probably have to do that with some of the Lord of Scoundrel stuff too. I don't think there's anything awful in there, but I didn't think anything was wrong with Mine Till Midnight, and I'm wrong, I guess. So,
Well, and that's a prime example of, like, the audiobook that's out for Mine Till Midnight is, like, the edited version, and
mhm,
so, like, I don't know, I'm assuming they've edited the ebook at this point, but the copy that I have is a paperback that I bought a few years back, so it's the original, and so, like, it
mhm.
feels like almost a different book. It truly
Yep,
does. Like,
yep.
absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it's
Sweet
disappointing.
Lullaby by Lorraine Heath, but I haven't had as much time to physically read this week. It's so good, but I'm not very far in. Is that her first book?
Yeah, I just realized The Parting Gifts and Sweet Lullaby, I think, were the duet, yeah. Now
Mm,
that I think of it, because those are Westerns too. I have to read Sweet Lullaby. I'm keeping my eye out for a copy. Every once in a while, it shows up on Amazon for one that's like 20 bucks, but that's about the cheapest you can, like, get because they're out of print, and
right.
you can buy an ebook of those ones, though. Um, I have seen you can get the ebook of those, but I don't want to, I want it. Even with its ugly cover, it has well, the original cover has the creepy bear on the front.
Yes, same.
The ebook cover has a clinch cover, but the
That's
original
right.
cover of the book has a creepy bear on
Yes.
the front.
It's like it almost looks like a children's book,
Yeah,
the cover, yeah, yeah.
but
Funny.
one of the only yeah, the ebook has a better cover for that one, but yes, I believe those are the original 2, and then it was the series that I had, the A Rogue in Texas, so, yeah.
Falling into Bed with the Duke. I liked that series. Oh, yeah, that series has,
Mhm,
the Gorilla Twins book. Why can't I think of the name?
mhm. Yeah,
I
when
love
the
that book, like, it's one of my favorite Lorraine Heath books. I love it so much.
oh, shoot, what's the name? It's right up there, literally behind my stick, the Duke I can't read it.
The Earl Takes a
Literally yes, it's literally
Lot.
behind my post of my thing. I have all Lorraine Heaths lined up so I can look at 'em, but
Yours Until yes, I do need to read it. I do need to read it. I The only books I've read by Teresa Medeiros are the After Midnight, um,
mhm,
Vampire Who Loved Me duet, and I love that duet. I think it's a great
yeah,
paranormal historical romance, duet, but I need to read more from her for sure.
yeah,
Yes, from, Secrets of a Summer Night, I know. They took out that whole prologue, and I'm like, "Why?
yeah,
Why?" That's, like, my favorite scene of the book. Like,
yeah. Yeah, they could just I'm sorry, but her men that were morally gray are the ones we love. Can you
yes.
imagine, like, what they would do with Derek? Like, what would they do with Derek? They would completely ruin him. I think they have even I have an old version of that book, but what would they do with him? Like, I
Right?
don't know. What would they do with Prince of Dreams, which is almost, like, incestuous almost?
Oh,
Like, what would
yeah.
they do? Because it's, like, his grandma or whatever that he's in love with. Like, what would they do with those? Like, just leave them be, okay? Leave them be. But, yeah.
Mhm.
Anyway.
Sweet Lullaby is my
Yes.
favorite. I do, I need to I've read one of her westerns, and I really liked it. I definitely need to
Mhm.
read more of what she has.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I mean, ugh. Yeah, Kingdom of Dreams is like I love that one because her name is Jennifer Merrick, which I always love because I was like, it's really close to my name, kind of.
Mhm.
And she's so infuriating. That's one of the few where the heroine infuriates me so bad, and I still always love them by the end. Like every time I
Right.
reread it, I do still love her by the end. But when you start it, you're like, oh, I hate her. I'm not gonna love her. That happens when I read The Takeover too. I always am like, "I'm gonna hate Claire this time. I'm gonna hate her. She's so bad." And I love her by the end every time.
Yes, the cover super unfortunate, but I got lucky and found it, so I bought it. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I look. Yep, yep.
How to Be a Wallflower by Eloisa James.
Mhm.
Scared of Prince of Dreams, but I'll get there.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'll ever read it. I don't know.
yeah. It's for the experience. It's for the experience, for real, because it is wild, and it's one of hers that, like, it straight up has, like, some fantasy in it. Like, it's a, it's a fantasy story type thing.
Right.
So Yeah, I had no clue what it was about when I read it. That's why, like, I just read it. Like, when I remember when Jessen read it and she just like, "Hey," I was like, "But Jessen, you just gotta go with it. Like, it's bonkers. Like, it's an
Right.
old school. Like, you just ride it out." Like, yeah, I didn't. It's one of the few Lisa Kleypas where I don't really buy the love story is the thing, but the book itself, the experience was worth the ticket to ride. Like, it was great, but
Right, right.
I don't really believe that romance, and with Lisa Kleypas, that's very rare, like, you usually believe her when she does it, but oh,
You said, so it's
yes.
back on my radar. When I run out of LK backlist, it's up.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that I'll just if I do read it, it would just be for like the entertainment
Oh, yeah.
factor. It
Yes,
was weird and
it was.
wild.
It was. Well, and who doesn't miss, like, the bravery to write that then? Because you could just write whatever the F, like, people wouldn't write one like that now, I feel like, but
Hmm.
but,
All
yeah,
right. So my plan for sprints was to do two 45-minute sprints. Does that sound good?
I love it.
You
I'm
guys?
trying to eat up the time until 11 because it's Outlander finale tonight, so I'm good until
11?
11
You have
my
to wait
time.
that late?
Well, it drops at midnight Eastern time every Thursday, Tuesday, and Friday.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so when I wanna watch it on Stars, the app, I can watch it at 11, so I'm good to go until then. So I
Okay.
already took my bath, so I don't gotta do that. I'm ready to go, so we can
Yeah.
do whatever we want.
All right. So we can go ahead and cue this up. So yeah, we'll go for 45 minutes, chat some, and then do another 45 minutes and call it a night.
Perfect.
All right. All right, we are back from our first sprint. Let us know in the comments what you've read, how much you read, if you want to tell us. How was your sprint, Jen?
It's going good. It's going good. Yep. I am working on the medieval book right now, which I still don't really have a feel for it. It's not written like a lot of medieval books I've read before. I don't know. Maybe it just seems too like simple, but it's not super. I mean, I don't know. All the other medieval books I've read, they've all been like old school romance. So the authors really lean into like writing in that like old school way. And so
Right.
it feels old, like, Como reading Kingdom of Dreams, she'll know what I mean. Like that one's very like, it feels medieval. And this one, it's just written like it's hard to tell that it's medieval is the thing. So that's not necessarily bad or anything. It just isn't really setting a like feeling for it. Like the words are just normal, like I don't know how to describe that, but the vibe of it doesn't really feel like that. So I don't know. That's a weird way to explain it, but that's
What book is it? What is it called?
yeah. This one is called A Scandalous Spring, by I think this is the Sophie Nye or something like that, and it's basically like it's funny. She called it a single caretaker, but it's an older brother. He has 5 younger siblings, and so it's like that's what they mean. Like a single guardian is what I would have called it more. But the heroine is the daughter of a laird who'd been staying with a different like laird or whatever, and the hero and a couple guys get sent to go get her and bring her back. And while they're traveling back to the keep, there's like a war going on too. And so they are coming across like enemy supplies and they're like sabotaging the war as they're just traveling along. So there's like some fun stuff going on with that, as well as like it's also kind of a forbidden romance because he's not of the right class, I guess, or whatever. So it's got all the things that I would love about it. It's great, but it just doesn't feel like it's medieval, It's one
Gotcha.
of those that I'm like, why did you decide it's medieval? Like that's something I ask when I'm reading a story like this is I'm like, why did you put it in that time? I can also understand, wanting to write it so it's easier to read. I guess
Yeah.
that's kind of important where she said, but if they are too, the word that I always hear people use, like if it's too anachronistic, right? If it's too like today sounding,
Right.
then why is it a historical? So
True. Yeah, I think it all like Shanna's saying and like you're saying, the way historical is written also lends
yeah,
itself to the setting and and like feeling like you're in the story. If it feels too modern, if it feels yeah, I mean I feel like that can take you out of the story. It's like, oh,
right.
this doesn't feel historical. This doesn't,
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, maybe that works for her audience more as a whole, if that's like what they're used to. But I'm kind of just like, well, it doesn't really feel like it needs to be set this time then. So anyway,
right. Um I read a couple chapters of Puck and Prejudice. I loved this book. I read it in December. It's Puck and Prejudice by Leah Riley, and it's basically a cross between a historical romance and a contemporary hockey romance. Because it's basically like the hero is a hockey player. He accidentally time travels back to 1812, I believe, and where he meets the heroine. And it was just like so fun. It was just really fun. I just had a really good time with it. So I'm glad that you're
no. The
reading.
men very rarely time travel, so that's fun.
I know. I feel like that's the first book that I've seen where the hero is the one
Yeah.
who
Well, the
time travels.
only other one I've read it also a couple times where a hero from the past comes forward. I've read that type. But
Yes.
the authors still love to pair a modern heroine with a past hero. So whether the heroine's going back or the hero's coming forward, the woman's always the modern one because that's more fun, I guess, to have it be like the woman being in a more restrained time or a man having different expectations of the woman or whatever.
That and, like, you know, the hero being, like, the swoony historical romance, hero for the
Right.
modern day heroine. It's like, you know, escapism. But what was fun about Puck and Prejudice was that him being the one from modern times, like, he was so protective of her autonomy and just her as a person, and like because he's modern, he, you know, he obviously has very ideas of how a woman should be treated than maybe a lot of the men. Like there was a character in this book that like was kind of treating either the heroine kind of like shit or like one of her friends or something, from what I vaguely remember. But yeah, so that was kind of what was fun. I definitely hope that she'll write more books in this series because it was a good time.
Good.
31%, first 10 pages, and is held captive on a ship. What book is this again, Albie?
Yeah, I don't know if I saw what you're reading.
Yeah.
I can think of a lot of them that do that, so that's why.
Right? I'm continuing my reread of Iron Flame because I am on a schedule.
Yeah.
I have still not read Fourth Wing, so
Yeah.
that's where we're at.
Candace, you've already read like 3 already though, I think. So, or you've read 2 and you're on the 3rd one. So you're doing great.
Oh yeah.
You got this.
But I'm not sure I'm going to like it as much as I've liked her others.
Mm.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. I've never heard of her. I'll have to look her up. If you have like a top recommendation of like where we should start with her, let us know, Linda.
Yeah.
Has to feel like it's within the time period. It will take me out of the story. Yeah. Julie Garwood ones are also written properly, so it's easy to pick up when authors didn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also too because when people write medieval, where is everybody? They're in Scotland. And they're not using like the only thing that makes him Scottish is he's saying lass.
There
That's
you
all.
go.
There's no
Right.
like I know. There's no like ye or any of that in there. And I'm like, I'm sorry, like maybe it's cliche, but if he doesn't sound like Jamie Fraser, what are you doing? Like
Right.
that's even like a bare minimum in my opinion, because that's not even medieval Scottish. That's, you know, that's 1740. So like that's not even medieval at all. Like when you go back, you almost have to like sound out what they're saying to know it. And again, I get it. The author maybe didn't want to like do that because they just didn't want to do it and then have not do it right, because people would probably diss you more if you don't do it right than do it. But it just very much sticks out. And it's just like Komal said, because yeah, I've read Julie Garwood and Judith McNaught and who else writes a lot back there? I can't remember anyone else right now, but those authors who write it, you can just feel it. You know, even like Elisa Braden, her ones that are in Scotland, like those aren't super old timey even, but
Right. But it
anyway.
still works. Yeah. I'm enjoying the Lorraine Heath though. Might read that next sprint. Yeah, I am probably going to finish this one the next sprint. I think I'll be able to because I have an hour and a half left of the audiobook and I listen to it at like 3 times speed while following along. So yeah, this is going to be 5 stars.
Yeah.
Right here.
You'll
good.
You'll love the True Loves.
Yeah.
You will. In my opinion, I like that one all right, but I loved all of them more than that one.
Mm-hmm.
And like that one was still solid because it's Lorraine Heath. They're like, in my opinion, just gets better and better because Beauty and the Beast is the last one, and that one's like great. But I loved other ones too, like the Earl Takes a Fancy. I really liked, and I also like the dark blue cover. There's 2 blue covers, but the dark blue cover is the Duchess in his bed. That one too. Really love that one.
Yeah, and this series has such stunning covers.
Mm-hmm.
I am obsessed, and I love like this font that they used for the titles. Like, Just
I
everything about it.
know.
Mhm.
I feel like Lorraine is literally our last holdout because even Shoop caved to the cover change. Even Shoop caved.
I
I mean, she didn't
know.
have a choice. I'm not ragging on her,
I
but Lorraine
know.
Lorraine still kept it with the Tempest of Desire, and I'm like,
I know,
don't
I
leave.
love that cover. Oh my god, please don't change her covers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't do it. Don't take it from us, but
right?
I
I
don't know.
know. Well, and reading this too, it's like Lorraine Heath also feels like one of our last hopes for
I know.
traditionally published historical romances, like writing wise.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just reminded of how much I love her writing and the
Yeah.
way that she writes feelings, the
Mhm.
way that she writes what falling in love feels like, the way
Mhm.
that she writes what desire feels like.
Yes.
Wow.
Girl, Tempest of Desire. Oh my god, you have to read it. I know you have all of them to read, but, like, I hadn't read one of hers in a while, and personally, I didn't love the Chessman series very much, so that was, like, the last ones I read from her, um, and Tempest of Desire was like, "Yes, this is what she does. Like, this is it. This is it." And I think part of it is too is, like, you'll find out so she had a cancer scare recently too, like, Lorraine Heath, was very sick, and she says
Mm,
in her note, just how important that, like, this book was, and, like, I feel like she pulled out all the stops in writing that, and I know, like, I have this discussion a lot, especially with Crystal, we talk about it in our group, like, I talk about it with my viewers, like, there is something very specific about historical romance in how love is written, just like what you said, that the very best of contemporary authors also do this. Like there are authors who do this. It's not like it's only historical romance. But because historical romance doesn't usually jump right into physical attributes, they touch on the other ways people fall in love, you
mm,
know, and it's not that there's not one night stand books in historical, it's not that there aren't plenty of lusty ones out there, but there's just something that, you fall in love in different ways. And the other thing I love about specifically Lorraine Heath, why I think she's that, like, I agree with you, like the last one's writing in that style is I know that I often like come off as like hating on there being um what's it called? Like progressive plots. It's not that I have a problem with those. I love those. Some of my
mhm.
favorite historicals have those. It's the way that an author kind of tricks you into it in a good historical. Like the way that they show the problems women are facing and they show solutions that are correct for the time, how you can do that. I am just never going to be comfortable with you trying to write me a historical, but you give me a modern day answer to what their issue is. And I'm like, well, then why did you write a historical? Right.
Right.
I find it so much more fascinating when you read Lisa Kleypas and the times didn't change in the story. The people in that relationship, the men in that relationship change for the woman that they love, or they look at it a new way for the woman that they love. And to me, that just fits historical better. You can tell that type of story in contemporary if you want to, but
Yeah.
what is historical? It's not just that you put them in Bridgerton gowns. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be on my soapbox, but this is the Rake Meets the Bluestocking, and we want to save historical romance. Like that's why I wanted us to do this readathon again,
Mhm.
is to get me inspired for the rest of the year to pick up more, and also
Yes.
to get viewers and readers excited for more. And so I feel like articulating what I'm like looking for in those and I want to find more indie authors who are doing that so we can make them blow up, because
Yep.
that's how things are happening right now is you have to get attention and you have to get people excited about them, and then those authors will start getting those offers too. And there's so many indie authors that we just, I want to read every Lorraine Heath too. I've read almost all of Lisa Kleypas. Like I love them. I don't want to push them aside for something new, but we will lose them soon. It's not something I'm happy about, but
Yeah.
Lorraine Heath is elderly. How many more years do we have, right? So I want to find people like Erin Langston, and like I love great. I've forgotten everyone, but you know who I mean. Like
Yeah.
Stacey
I love
Dooley.
Scarlett Scott.
Yes,
She's
yeah, like
she's under a
Stacey
needle.
Reed, she's very sick. Stacey Reed
Mm,
is very sick. You know, who is gonna keep writing the way that she does? Like, oh my
right?
god, her books always slay me. Like, who are the authors that do exist that I just don't know about that can be the next Dreaming of You? I am sure they exist. You know, that's why I get a little bit like down on us getting down on it because I'm like, we're just in the lull. We get to be the comeback kids for it. It is not going to go away. It is impossible that it will go away. But what does it do? It goes underground, like any like submersive movement. Like we're going to be reading them in the background, and it just will take one to pop up there, and then everyone gets excited about it, right? And I'm sad that Bridgerton wasn't really that. But again, this is what I was going on before my big rant is like why I think personally that Bridgerton only did what it did like for that series itself. Because I'm not denying that that absolutely blew up. And I love Bridgerton, so it's fine. But they changed what the heart of it was. Like, I'm sorry, they did. There
Yeah,
are things plenty entertaining about that show, but it didn't keep the heart of what made that show work or made those books work. And it was the family and it was the way they looked out for each other. There was 5 different plot lines happening in Bridgerton, and each sibling is like their own against the world and has
yeah,
their own stuff going on. And what
mhm,
makes those series work is the family and is that you care about the next person's story. And you can say you want to modernize it, you can say you want to do that, and I think that's good. Those are good things to have those exist, but not at the price of ripping apart something people already loved and saying like, well, this wasn't modern enough, this wasn't this. And I'm like, but just write a modern version of it then that you do. Don't take this and say that it's this because it again, in my opinion, that's why historical romance didn't all take off. Because the people who read historical romance because they love Bridgerton weren't finding that in that because it wasn't. And the
yeah,
people who love historical romance were off put by Bridgerton because it changed what they love. So that's why I think it didn't lift all the boats of historical romance because it wasn't a truthful representation of what we
mhm.
love about it. It has its positives, but it wasn't a true representation of what I want out of it anyway, because it just didn't. Like,
Yeah,
anyway,
and also,
that's my
like, what's strange about Bridgerton too is, like, I personally loved season 1. I
mhm,
really, really enjoyed season 1. The show, I feel like the tone of the show and, like, what they're focusing on has changed so much over the 3 seasons, and
yeah,
definitely at this point, I would say it's more so inspired by the Bridgerton books
right,
than based on the
right.
Bridgerton books, right? It's
Mhm.
just so strange, like, how that season has evolved, and, like,
Yeah,
I also feel like people aren't as excited about it anymore too
yeah,
with the way that it's changed. And so I think that's also another reason why it wasn't like
yeah,
what we thought it was going to be for historical romance. Just
right.
very, very strange.
Yeah, 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 and that's just I thought about it a ton because I really wanted to examine my feelings on it and, like, am I just very protective over what I love? And I did try to listen to where people saying I didn't like it because of, you know, when lots of people say you don't like it because of diversity, I'm like, "Well, do I? Like, let me examine it because 'cause I'm willing to examine myself and what I think things should be." And I don't think that's true because I was fine with any casting changes they made. I did not have a problem with who was playing what. I had a
Yeah.
problem with the words and the actions coming out of their mouth. It was what my problem was.
Right, right,
You know,
right,
I stand by Kate would not have cheated on her sister like that. Like I stand by those things
right.
that like it just wouldn't have happened. So, you know, I just think that we all got it too wrong where they want to say, "Oh, you don't like this because you don't like those." And I'm like, "No, I don't like it because it changed the wrong things." You
Yeah,
can change those
yeah.
things to make it more diverse, to give people jobs, to lift that up, absolutely. But why did you change what type of character she was, right?
Right.
Whereas, like, I love season 1 because Simon, he brought the swoon, he brought his damage and his good side, like, all of that was brought into him, and I
Yeah.
loved that. With Kate, they did not do the same thing. They brought in a new character, and they made her a new character,
Mhm.
and they made Edwina a different character. So, anyway, I don't mean to ramble about them, but my point is, as historical romance as a bigger whole, that is what I have come to after 3 years or so of debating this, of like, why didn't Bridgerton do for historical romance like I wanted it to?
Mhm.
I think it's because it didn't bring the same essence with it. So,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. My issue with Bridgerton is it shouldn't have been one book per season. It should have been centered on the family and weaved in the romance just because TV is a different format. Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. I think that there could have been
yeah.
instead of these other kind of like dumb storylines
Right.
that they've made up for other characters that
Yeah.
yeah, like I personally like kind of hated season 3.
Yeah, I
Like,
didn't even watch it,
really.
so
And season 2 was, like, too much
I
hate.
was good
Like,
I was good until right, I was good until a certain episode. Now I
yeah.
can't recall, but I literally was I was okay with this, and then the fake
Yes.
wedding episode was it. Yeah.
Yes,
That's
that.
what I'm saying. When they had we almost went to we were at the actual altar I was like, "No." Like, and you can see that, like, I made reviews of it, and I was doing episode by episode, and when we got to that one, I was like, "Okay, I'm done." Because now I'm just gonna hate on it, and I don't like to be negative all the time. I'm happy to discuss issues, but I'm like, "Okay, you are wanting to this isn't even just about a diverse message. You changed the character. So don't tell me that I'm being anti-diversity of this. No, I'm anti making Kate a cheater, McCheater pants. I have a problem with it." So
Hope it had the best tension. There were yeah, I feel like
yes,
season 2, there were aspects I liked and aspects that I didn't, for sure.
yes, yeah,
Season 2
yeah,
had me until the bee scene took a turn away from the book and then went completely down
yeah, yeah,
downhill. That's so funny, but so true. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And I
It's such
even
an
I
interesting
even
story.
think too, like they could have all the like they honestly could have the side stories if they kept the main couple's relationship the same. Then do the little side like, fine, like, add those in, that's great, like, Queen Charlotte, add in, like, the Lady Danbury stuff, go ahead, but keep the romance that we're here for the same. Let's just
Right,
stuff
yeah.
with other people.
I'm gonna go
Anyway,
back to some older comments here.
yes,
Read
let's
40 more
do that.
pages of Lotus Palace, loving the mystery aspect as well as the tension. Probably because of the time and class difference, but it's so good. Yeah, I am very much looking forward to reading that at some point. I've heard very good things about that book. And then The Jade Temptress, I believe, is the title of the second book in the series.
Yeah, yeah.
Modern Hero would seem very odd, but yeah. Yeah, it was fun. It was
Yeah,
just a fun time.
it sounds cool.
In Bed with a Blackguard by Kara
Oh,
Maxwell.
yeah,
I need to look up Kara Maxwell for sure. Oh, talking about Iron Flame.
yeah, I'm not rereading them. I did that funny things, I was like, "I'll catch on."
That,
In
and you
the
can watch a
meantime
recap. Like Jess from Honest Fiction has put
yeah,
out recaps.
she
So,
sure does, she sure does.
yep. All on KU. Oh, she brought up this was Adra something. That
Is
author that she had brought, Adra Richards,
okay.
is the author. She's on KU.
His improper proposal. Love it. Love it.
Cool. Yes, Julianne Long still has beautiful
Yes.
covers.
She absolutely does. She
Yes.
absolutely does.
And
I
I
need to
really
read
I
more.
really enjoy her books too. I like the Palace of Rogues
Yeah. Yeah.
series that she's currently writing.
Mhm.
Tempest of Desire was so beautiful. Can't
So
wait for
beautiful,
the
I know. It was
second.
so great. And I really don't like mistress romances, and I loved that one so much.
Mm.
Mistresses
It
are
has
hard
to
for
be
me.
done right. It just has
Mhm.
to be done right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mistresses are tough for me.
Mhm.
Yes.
Being vulnerable,
Yes.
touching was more intimate.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mhm.
It's because what do we love? We love pining. I want you to pine. Pine for me. And
Yes.
I love when that is like, oh, good.
There was like a moment in this, one of those moments where like neither of them are wearing gloves and they just touch
Mhm.
hands. And like, it's just great stuff. It really
Yep.
is.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
mhm.
Yeah, Lisa, I have no idea. I did some diving, and the most recent update I think was back from 2023 in Elisa in Eloisa James' Facebook group because Eloisa is her friend and she had said she was working on something. but that was from 2023, and it was in someone else's Facebook group. But
The only thing I can think of was like the rewrite of Someone to Watch Over Me.
yeah, but
They
would
did.
she have even like, I don't know, how
I don't
much
know
would
when
she have
that
really had to
released.
do?
Yeah,
You know, if your editor has a, I don't know. I don't know.
they're taking over. Yeah, it's taking way too long for them to come out with new seasons. And
Yeah.
also, I truly miss the era of TV shows where there were like 24 episodes in a season and there were
Mhm.
filler episodes, but I didn't care. Okay. Like,
Mhm.
I was just
Mhm.
here for a good time. Like, TV has just changed
Yeah.
so much
You
with
know,
streaming services.
I
Like,
love that, and there could be plot lines that just, like, didn't come like, they weren't dealt with all the time, we didn't have to rush to it,
yeah,
and I love that, like, I still, about at once a year, go back to Bones and just watch all the Gravedigger episodes, there's, like, 6 of them, and I watch the one in season 2 and the one in season 4 and the one is and I just will,
yeah,
like, do a binge of those, and I love doing that. Like, on cable TV, they used to do those, like, watch the run of this serial killer, and they would just show the episodes of what was happening in that. They would do that with, like, NCIS, they would do, and they would do that with the and, like, yeah, but they've also just made stuff so expensive to make now too,
true.
is the thing, like, it's so expensive to make what they make for, like, Netflix and everything because there's so much into it where it's, like, a lot of, like, sitcom shows, you know, you don't have huge sets like crazy, you have the one set and they film, like, 4 episodes in, like, how, you know, they'll, like, film stuff, I don't know, those ones where they used to have a live audience for, you would, like, get through stuff really fast, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway.
I was disappointed that they didn't put the scene where Anthony comforts Kate. That's a great scene in that book. Mhm.
Yeah, that's when he yeah,
Yeah.
so good. But anyway, so I'm sorry for a rant about it, guys, but it isn't Bridgerton specifically. That's my whole point is I honestly like I'm nervous what they would do with the wallflowers or um didn't want to Stacey Reed's get sold as well. Like I
Well,
don't know if they're
I'm
making
even nervous about like what their Netflix bought the Twisted series by Anna Huang. I'm like,
right.
what are they gonna do to this?
Okay, okay, but how fast will that go? Like, they bought the
Right?
how you know, like, they but we I know, but this we need to remember back, like, ages ago, like, how long has ACOTAR been bought for, right? Um, Outlander was purchased 25 years ago, and the rights changed hands about 4 times
Yeah,
before something got made, and, like, the Hoop series was bought ages ago, and it seemed like so much was happening, and then nothing's happened with it, and you know, like, what are they which other series there's so many of them that have been bought, like, The Lunar Chronicles was bought,
oh,
like,
yeah,
ages
I forgot
ago,
about
right?
that.
It wasn't The
Yeah.
Renegades, it was The Lunar Chronicles or The Renegades was bought, like, when
Yeah.
is something gonna happen with that? Like,
Yeah.
you know, nothing's gonna happen with those, but, like, we get excited about the rights being sold, and I don't know about that. We'll see, because 'cause we've
Yeah.
seen what they do. Honestly, like I don't know. What's the one romance, app that's all that it had, like, the Jennifer L. Armentrout ones.
Oh, was it Passion Flicks?
Yeah, Passionflix. I've been meaning to, like, log on there again because I got an account for that back when they only had, like, 4 movies on there. So I canceled it because 'cause I'm like, "Okay, I watch them and then you're done."
Right.
But now I feel like they have so many on there. Like, they're doing one of Willow Winters, they've done, J.R. Ward, they're making, like, the and it's like, so what if they're cheesy? It's gonna be like spicy Hallmark versions of the stuff, you know? The
Right.
acting's only just barely there, but at least it's the story you love getting done, so
Right.
But yeah, I remember when, like, I watched Hollywood Dirt was done, and that was, like, Alessandra Torre or whatever, they did Hollywood Dirt. Yeah, it was pretty cheesy, but, like, at least they made it, like, it's bought and made within, like, a year, and you're not just waiting around for 50 years.
Right. Yeah. Yeah,
Or the
absolutely.
Gabriel series, they did that, they did Gabriel's Inferno, the entire series is done on there, it's crazy.
Oh, okay.
That's right. I've only seen through, I think, like there's still like 2 parts I haven't watched on there. I'll have to do that, but yeah. But anywho,
Mhm.
yep.
Fun times. All right, friends, we ready for another sprint?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. All right, we'll catch you on the flippity flip.
All right, here we go.
All right. That was perfect timing. I literally just finished this
Nice.
right
I'm
at the
sorry.
end there. How was your sprint?
It was good. It's getting there. We're like halfway in, and she only just found out that he has siblings, though. So I'm like, it's, I don't know. It's blurbed as her becoming a, like, I don't know, like a mother to his siblings, and we're halfway in already. So I'm like, it's all right. I mean, again, there's nothing offensive about this book, but it's also just sitting at like 3 stars. And so it's kind of like,
Meh.
it's one of those that, like, if it wasn't a readathon where like it's gonna fill prompts for me, I would like, but it's also only 230 pages too. So halfway in, I only have another 100 pages to go, but
Right.
yeah.
So I just finished Beyond Scandal and Desire by Lorraine Heath, and then what was the title of your book again, Jen?
Yeah, I'm reading A Scandal in Spring by Sophia Nye, and it's on my ebook, so I don't have a pretty picture for everybody, but
Sure.
it's a medieval romance, medieval Scottish romance. So
Alicia just finished The Silent Duke. I'm planning on starting that soon.
Oh boy. I
Yes, Heir of Fire. Yes, Throne of Glass.
Oh my gosh.
Halfway through Lotus Palace. That's another one that I definitely want to pick up soon. All right. I don't know. I'm feeling like I just want to curl up and start another book.
Yeah. Because is that your first one you finished, or?
That's my second one. So I am right now filming a reading blog for this week. So I'm excited for that. But I read The Soldier's Scoundrel by Kat Sebastian. I finished this on Tuesday. I really liked it. I really enjoy Kat Sebastian's queer historical romances. They are a good time. And then, so this is my second book for the readathon. Yeah.
Nice.
You finished like 3 or 4 at this point?
Well, I finished 3, yeah. Hold on, come back to The Silent Duke is only 200 pages, our one, so I did that one, and as I'm sure everybody knows, that's literally half of the board on one of the boards anyway. The Silent Duke ended up being. Especially too if it's like a new to you author. It's a new to you author, like an indie author. It's a Duke. It's a disability. It's a that one is, I think, Regency time. Or no, that one was Victorian time or Georgian. That one's Georgian, I think. Yeah. Anyway,
I think it's Georgian. Yeah.
Yeah. 1780 something, I think. So it like hits like everything. So that one, and then I finished the class Forsaken, and then I finished the Alice Cold Breath. Now, have you tried her yet? I can't recall.
I have not. I've been meaning to, but I have not.
Yeah. So she's someone that people have told me about for years, and then it was just before last Christmas that one of my viewers sent me the Victorian Prizefighters trilogy, and I read the first 2 pretty close together, and then for some reason I just never got around to the third one, and they have an excellent narrator, so good. For a good amount of time they were on Audible Plus. Now I don't think they are, but they were on AnyPlay, and the audios are usually pretty easy to get, but I had bought this last one. But anyway, all my rambling to say, this trilogy is super unique. It's very unique. And also the books aren't very connected at all, so you can read wherever you want. Like, they're not brothers, they're not they are all prize fighters because it's the prize fighter series, so they've all been fighters, but the trilogy is kind of about them, it's all different scenarios, and they're all like marriage of conveniences, and just super unique because there's not really anybody in gentry, neither the hero nor the heroine.
Hmm.
I think one of the heroines is, like, lower gentry, but otherwise, it's all made men. Um, some of them have used their prize money from their days to, like, do something, otherwise, a couple of them are even still fighters. One of them is, like, a literally, they're in a traveling fair. Book 2 is they're a traveling fair, and the married couple is sharing literally a wagon, like a fair wagon, so think
Mhm.
of, like, they're not, ROM or anything, but it's that type of, like, traveling circus style. So,
Right.
literally, they get married, and then they're in a cabin or a traveling, uh, cart that's, like, the bed is the whole size of, like, the thing, and so that one I think is my favorite. Book 2, I think, was my favorite, but the one I just finished was The Contracted Spouse for the Prize Fighter. Very big name. But
Yeah.
that one is about a theater, and the heroine is actually she wants to do this act that's like a comedy act, and her brother won't let her do it and basically is, like, pushing her out of the family business, and so she makes a deal with this guy who he owns. It's almost like it's not vaudeville because that's the wrong word, but he runs, like, a low class type of theater, whereas her family owns a better one. And so in their marriage deal, which gives him part interest in her family business, she, like, has it work that she wants to be able to do her act at like, his theater, and her act is a male impersonator. So she plays, like, this is what I mean. He plays, like, the straight man to
Yeah.
the woman is the body, like, funny one, kind of.
Right.
So she he just thinks she's gonna bomb it. Like, he just thinks she's gonna bomb it, but he's like, "Well, she married me so I could get this controlling interest. I'm just gonna let her fail, and then I'll be there to
Right.
console her,"
Mhm.
and she kicks butt. So, my point in all of that is, like, I think you might enjoy that one because there's music and theater in it, and it's
That
literally like
sounds
music
fun.
and theater historic, yeah, and the
Yeah.
narration was oh, it's one of those female narrators who does the men, like, even better than she does the women, and, like, you need that in a you need that.
Yes.
So, highly recommend The Contracted Spouse for the Prize Fighter for you, and particularly what I say too is this is what was told to me, and I found it to be true. The first book, if you do start at the beginning, the first book, like, really isn't an indication of the next 2. Like, I don't dislike the first book, it was good, but it is, like, pales in comparison to book 2 and 3. So,
Uh-huh.
yeah, people who I've seen quit the series, they've stopped after book 1 because it just wasn't as swoony, it wasn't as, like, good of a connection between them, and it just was more awkward, and I'm glad that my patron had, like, sent me the books because I probably would have stopped after book 1 too, and
Right.
that would have been sad. So, when I pitch it, I'm like, "Start with book 2, because if you really like it, you can go back to book 1 because they're really barely connected." Like, the guys all know each other from fighting, but they're not working at the same time as each other when their books take place. So you can read either of them whenever you want because they know of each other because the prize fighting ring is pretty small.
Right.
So you'll hear, like, little Easter eggs dropped when they mention other fighters, but you really, really don't have to read it in order. And I suggest you don't because book 1 was kind of boring compared to the other 2. So,
Yeah, I definitely heard that about book 1 as well.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I wanna try some more of her sorry, we'll get to that comment. I wanna try some more of
No,
her
you're
because she
fine.
has another 2 historical series, but she also has, I guess, like, Omegaverse too?
Oh,
Like
interesting.
yeah, there's one that's called Love Spell for the Alpha, and that is on I actually have that one's on Audible Plus, so I definitely wanna read more of her. But, okay, what do
Mm.
people think?
72% into In Bed with a Blackguard. It's good, but I think it's like a 4-book series. Oh, so there's like no setup into what she's doing or why. There you go. That stinks though. All right, question for Jen.
Oh, yeah, Shan. So there's not. Millavane is working on it again. Uh, she was, like, sick. She moved. She had, like, family troubles. So they're like her most recent update is like, "I'm working on it," and she's been working on it for, almost 5 years at this point, so we'll see.
Wow.
I know. So, sorry,
Wow.
side note, one more rant from me about something, not a rant, but it's funny because I just reread A Heart of Blood and Ashes, like, about 6 months ago because I annotated it for someone, and what's really funny is in the part of the book where, Irene sorry, what is her name? Is it
Even?
Yvonne, yeah, I wanted to say Irene because of, Sarah J. Maas.
Yeah.
They both start with a Y, and I was like, "It's Yvonne." Um, the part where she gets the prophecy about what's coming from, like, the darkness, it says, "In 6 years' time, this thing will happen." Well, by the time this last book comes, it will literally be 6 years from when that book came out. So in a
Okay,
way, I'm
that's
kind of like
crazy.
yeah, in a way, I'm kind of like, if it comes out by 2026, she literally has, like she probably didn't imagine that she prophesied how long her book was gonna take.
Right?
But even
That's
and
crazy.
yeah, even and Madoc are told they have 6 years to prepare the world for what's gonna happen, and that was literally in, like it came out in, like, 2019 or something like that, or 2018 or whatever, so, anyway.
Wow.
Yep.
Um, no, I haven't. I'm the last person on the planet that has not read Fourth Wing.
Just keep waiting, girl. Just
Honestly,
get
I
on
at
there.
this point I am waiting. I'm just waiting for because all the audios for the series so far have been added onto Hoopla at
Mhm.
like a little bit after their release. So like at this point I'm just waiting for for
Mine as
that to
well.
happen and then I'll read all
Yeah,
3 books.
right. I mean, mine as well because what did she say there's gonna be 4 of these or 5 of these? I know back when the first one came out, they were like, "There's gonna be 5 books." Maybe someone watching knows. There's either 4 or 5, I think she
Mhm.
said. And it's one of those, like, just wait. All the spoilers won't mean anything then by the time you read it. Like, that's what
Right.
I like, because 'cause I'm like, people can talk about it and you can just be like, "Huh? Don't know what this means. It's okay if I see this spoiler." And then when you read it one day, it's like, there are people that don't know what happens at the end of HP, for goodness sakes, and that's been around for how long? So it's like, you wait
Right.
you wait long enough and it can people still don't know what happens in Mist and Fury. There's still people out there rooting for Tamlin because they
Yeah, right.
don't know. There's still those people read it. So it's like, and I think that's one of the most popular book series that I know of and people still don't know.
Yeah,
So,
I'm actually surprised that I haven't like yeah, maybe I just like haven't seen it on my feed or whatever, but I haven't seen like any spoilery things for the
yeah.
series at all. But I think
I
like you said, it
mean,
helps that like I haven't started it at all. So if I see a name, I'm not
yeah,
like, oh, I
yeah,
just got spoiled for like no, because I don't know what's going on. Like
yeah. Yeah, and I think too, like, this because even me, like, I'm actually surprised people do such a good job because there was one recently I saw someone doing a funny, like, 5-minute recap, and it was obvious, like, "Well, stop watching if you don't want a spoiler," because she was just hitting on all the important things.
yeah,
Um, and some of the art, when you look back, you'll be like, "Oh, that was a spoiler because of this art that they just showed," but
right.
there hasn't been much. I mean, there's dragons in it. There's a gold dragon and a black like,
Yeah,
people
that's
already
it.
see those things, like, what because that's a thing that's kind of a surprise. One of the dragons is kind of a surprise, but, like, those are gonna be in there, so when you read it, it's like that's how I am with stuff anyway, but
Yeah. I think what I'm gonna do is like I said, wait till the third audio is readily available, and then I'll probably just like do a vlog where I
yeah,
read all 3 and give my reactions and stuff. But
yeah.
yeah.
Or someone will be doing a read along again, like, for an
Oh,
like,
I'm sure.
they're doing them already, so,
Yeah. Best thing about
um,
historical romance is you can read out of order when someone tells you the books get better as the series goes. Yeah,
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
much.
Yeah, I've read book, like, 9 in the Julianne Long series, that's really long. because
Oh yeah, that's a series that like yes, there's
yeah,
connections, but like you can definitely pick and choose the good
yeah.
ones. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
Jessen recommended it, and she's someone who always reads in order. So the fact that she recommended a book, now I was like, okay, I can read this, because she always is.
Mhm.
She's a person who can read them in order and read them really fast. So,
Right, right.
5 books. Okay, I thought that's what
Ooh,
it was.
Sweet Roses. I
For
found
roses. Yeah,
stars.
yeah. I
Mhm.
think I
Yeah,
gave it
5 books is what
gave it
Shannon
4
said.
books.
Mhm.
Mhm.
All
Mm,
right. Well, I think we can wrap it up here.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to start something else. I don't know what I want.
Yeah. What are you gonna start? What was
Yeah,
on your TBR? I feel like I didn't see.
I
What
have
was
a
on?
stack over here of physical books.
Well, I guess you have the book club books to do
I have the
still.
book club books, and then I have some physical books that I own because I'm really trying to make that more of a priority of like
Yeah.
actually reading books that I own. Like, there's so many
Yeah, that's what I
specifically
tried to do.
just historical romances that I own that I
Mhm.
definitely have not read.
Yeah.
Like,
That's what I tried to do too. That's what I did for my I didn't, like, tell anyone this, but besides the book club books, which I bought new, I made my TBR out of books on, like, that I got from Stuff Your Kindle Days. That's why I'm the
mm,
Scandalous Spring one, or ones that I owned, which was the Alice Goldbreath, the Lauren Smith, the Lorraine Heath. I, like, owned those already, and then I had 2 ebooks, and I did have Tracy Sumner on my list too, but, not anymore.
oopsies.
Bye.
Hi,
Oopsie lady.
girl.
Oh my gosh, her book was on NetGalley, and, like, I downvoted the cover, and I felt so spiteful, even though it's not a big deal, but I
Right.
sent it to Crystal, and she was like, "On my way to down." Anyway, I
This is a
was
good
really looking forward
question,
to that.
Shannon. Are we doing any more sprint this weekend? People might
Yes,
be busy. I don't know.
right, Shan. So, mine's not listed, but I'm planning to do one tomorrow. I don't know when, because I don't think anyone else can join me. I don't know if are you around tomorrow at all?
I I could. Yeah.
When
Depends
are
on
you
the time.
when are you around
For
tomorrow?
me, like I have stuff during the day tomorrow.
Okay. 'Cause I didn't know when to do it. Because I know Crystal couldn't, and I know Lisa said she can't till Sunday, so it's a tough thing, but I was planning doing tomorrow, I just didn't wanna schedule it in case I couldn't, Shan, but Rachel and I will talk about it when we get off about what time, but
Mhm.
I'm planning to do one tomorrow. I just didn't wanna commit to it if I couldn't because life, but I do wanna do another one. I feel bad that we didn't get to, but I don't know. The thing too is, like, sprints are the extra thing for me. To
Yeah.
get people to wanna do their readathon is what's most important to me,
Yeah.
and sprints are an extra because I don't like to give homework to people and then make them feel bad, because I've had so many times where I do readathons and then people feel guilty. I'm like, "You don't need to feel guilty. This is for fun.
Yeah.
This is for
Yeah.
fun." I don't feel offended when people can't, and when we can, it's a bonus, because I think when we used to do the readathons, that was like everybody. That's what I loved, is that we were reading together. Like, that's what I love the most. But I've gotten less worried about that over the years because I just want us to read together. We can read together separately and it's fine. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, I don't
Mhm.
like to make people feel bad. So I'm like, we don't need to. We'll just fit one in. But yeah, Shan, I will post about it on my Instagram when we pick a time for it. And then, yeah, we'll do the show on Sunday to chat about everything. So,
Cool. Do we know? I can't remember what time on Sunday that
yeah, I
is.
think I said 7 because I wanted it to be late enough that what did I
Mhm.
say? Um, I have the event listed already. What time did I do it for? Let me see. Um, yes, the wrap. Nope, that doesn't have the time. It is scheduled on my channel, and I don't know what time it is because I didn't put the time on the cover. I think I told us 7.
That sounds
Is
right.
what I said, because that makes it
Yeah.
6 for which I don't think Crystal can come anyway, I think she said, but, I know Lisa could if it was later, so
I do, yeah, I do remember Lisa
yeah,
saying that. Mhm.
yeah. Linda,
Linda, Linda, there is nothing to it, just read.
no.
Just
You're doing it.
You're
Linda,
doing it
you're
right now.
doing it all the time. You're doing it all the time. Like, it is funny though to talk about it because some people are like, "How do I do it?" And I'm like, "Well, literally you just read, you just it's focused on a specific like thing this time." But when I do the romance takeover readathon, you just read as much romance as you can, which isn't different for my life.
Right, to what we normally do. Like
But when I do a historical romance one or, like, the fan fiction or the mafia, like, those are targeted to, like, read that week, but
mhm,
otherwise, it's just and the prompts are just fun because sometimes it's fun to like, I like prompts because that's how I was picking books off of my shelves. Because when I'm, like, make a TBR for it, I'm just
yeah,
like, I have literally 1,000 historicals in my home.
uh-huh,
How do I narrow it down?
yep,
And so I like the prompts and, to help me then file it down. Because otherwise, how do I pick 5 books or something like that? So,
right, mhm.
yeah. Yeah.
Alrighty, well, we will see you guys for the next sprint tomorrow. Jen
Yeah.
and I are gonna talk about what time, and
Yep.
we'll announce it on our, Instagrams,
Yes.
YouTubes, all the things. So yeah, thanks to everyone for joining us tonight. I saw that we had about like 15 to 20 people watching over the course of the live show, so it was fun reading
Nice.
with you guys and discussing everything. Oh, I'm so glad you're enjoying the readathon.
Yeah.
I feel like this came at the perfect time for me personally too, just because it was like a good opportunity for me to pick up historical romance again. I still read it, but you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
just I've been in a mood where I've been reading more contemporaries, and so it's just a
Mhm.
really good opportunity for me to be like, ooh, let me pick some books off my shelf.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know,
No, I mean, it's the same thing. I love historical romance so much, and as I said, I was kind of getting a little bit down because every post was people saying, "I miss it. I miss it." I'm like, "Bitches, it didn't go anywhere."
right,
Popular people just ain't talking about it right now, but,
right,
like,
right.
go to a used bookstore, what's the biggest section still? The
Yeah,
historical romance.
yeah,
And, like, there's still authors writing it, so we gotta do it. So, anyway, I'm a positivity person. Like I said, I was like it's that thing of, like, "You're not gonna make fetch happen." I'm like, "Bitch, I'm gonna make historical romance happen again." If it's just me, like, it went through a surge, like, 6 years ago, like,
yeah,
when everyone was getting excited about it. That's what everyone was reading when romance booktube really took off,
yeah.
is historical romance.
Hmm.
Um, but I definitely read way more contemporary too, though. So,
Hmm.
yep.
All right,
Anyway.
everyone, have a good night.
Yes. Bye,
Bye.
friends.